What's going on, Internet? Hi, Internet. Hi. It's me. It's Paul from the North End. Guess what? It's our last show. Brian Ireland. It's our last show.
Yeah, Paulie, it is. It's the end of an era, fella. But
we're the two oldest contributors to this show.
Yeah,
so
we started. I remember started it after a footy match back in the day at Cherry Beach Fields. We had a conversation. We talked about doing a podcast, and here we are.
I've got like Madonna's. This used to be my playground playing in my headphones. Nice. I'm not even listening to you. I'm just like listening to Madonna. And then we met a little tiny Englander named Luke the Duke.
Luke the Duke came on board. There he is. Yeah,
there he is. Look at him. He's so
Watch yourself.
I think Connie was with us before Luke, but like Connie, he's late again, folks. So he may or may not be here. We don't know. This
might not even turn up.
Well, we're ending the show because Connie's a wanted man, and we didn't want to be put into a position where we had to turn state's evidence. So we had to end the show.
Yeah.
There it is.
I don't want to insult Connie too much because I'm pretty sure one time I went on a rant about we've all been frustrated with his lack of I'll be on, and then he doesn't turn up, and then I think we found out that he had multiple heart surgery. So I don't want to.
It's always something with that guy.
He'll come up with like, some excuse.
It's always triple bypass bullshit. Whatever. Speaking of bullshit, JP California joined us.
There you go.
Paul, maybe what felt like, I remember this guy and this guy, but the bullshit is me.
This is the best segue I've heard from Paulie all the whole time.
Back pocket. Saved all the good stuff for the last show.
There you go, buddy.
It was true.
JP California with the weather report, buddy. If I don't get a weather report.
Freezing, and it rained last night. It was like 55 degrees and rainy. Yeah. I hate it. Like, I need the summer back.
If the end of the world and global annihilation isn't a reason to stop playing around with YouTube and focusing on other stuff, I don't know what is. I really don't.
It's true.
Speaking of focusing on other stuff, Azaz, the only one of us who might actually win a title this year.
Too early.
Is it?
And he's so reasonable.
It is still too early.
Like, yeah, at what point do you like start to get hopeful? Is it like right after January? Is it?
Yeah. I mean, eight in January would be a great one, but like you can lose an 8-point lead in 1 week in Christmas. So that's leave.
Game.
Yeah.
Oh, Paulie playing around with the layouts here. Sorry about that.
I just because I'm like, whatever, I only got so much more time to figure out how to do stuff. So I'm like, what if we could have been doing this the entire time? We could have been doing this. I'm done now.
Thanks,
guys, it's our last show. For anybody who's a regular,
we have some people. We have some people in the comments. So Liam, who's with us generally, and BX Gunner, who joined us recently as well in the comments. So cheers, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here.
Yeah. The reason why we're not doing this anymore is, quite frankly, it's just really hard to do with life and to keep up with it. And YouTube is super cool, super fun. But maybe it was easier when it was a podcast once upon a time, Brian. I don't know. I don't know if it was harder because it's live.
I think it just became like our lives became more complicated, generally speaking, as far as the things we were doing, more traveling, more responsibility outside of like you had a kid, like that happened. That changed things.
Guys trying to die, and I'm trying to bring life.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons. Luke has been all over the world trying to figure out what he's going to do with his life. That's the thing. Azaz is just a traveling madman, so we don't even know where he is half the time. But I think he might be in Toronto right now.
I am in Toronto right now.
I think he actually started to settle down and traveled less.
Yeah, and once again, we've got no Connie, and there you go. That's
consistency.
I honestly thought we could just spend the first 20 minutes just ripping into Connie and how useless he is.
For sure.
If he's not here in 20 minutes, it better be a heart thing. It
better be a heart thing.
I don't want you to die, Connie, but it's got to be like a little like.
He's got to have a good reason for it, It can't just be
irregular.
I forgot, and I got drunk with my buddies or something.
Exactly,
which I could see him doing as well.
He's probably watching the hockey game.
Yeah, I can see it.
All right, I got a question for you guys.
Shoot,
JP California with a question.
Is hockey what every Canadian watches, or is it like here where it's like the fourth biggest sport?
It's the biggest sport, but it's not what everybody watches.
I would say a biggest sport for sure, but not what everybody watches.
Like it's the biggest one you guys play. It's the biggest one for people to get involved with, but just no one watches it on TV. I'm
no, a lot of people watch it on TV. Tons of people.
This football, so soccer is the biggest sport participation wise under 20s. So in our lifetime, this will become the second biggest sport in Canada. Not in the next 10, 15 years, but in the next 20,
arguably
30 years.
Getting closer to that.
In whose life, though, is that? Because Brian is old, right? So let's
I am quite old.
But for real, though.
I can't avoid.
Fair. But it's crazy to see like what was FIFA, like in EA Sports, and Alphonso Davies and Mbappe and Haaland and stuff are doing to the kids. It's actually super cool to see.
And the Premier League in general,
thing.
like I mean,
Premier League too,
from the Premier League, the way it was brought into North America,
booming in the United States. Hockey is booming in the United States, but when it comes to sheer numbers, freaking football on the weekly still draws pretty much a lot of people. Basketball's like dropping off. Baseball's dropped off tremendously in the last 20 years, 30 years. But soccer, viewership of soccer and participation is just climbing uncontrollably with like UFC. It's pretty crazy.
Those are the two popular ones. Yeah, a lot of people play in the US. You know, it is the very high participation for kids.
It's the biggest thing until like they're like
it's the easiest thing to do as a parent, and it's the cheapest thing to do as a parent. That's the problem with hockey here in Canada is that it's incredibly expensive, like the equipment.
You got to get those kids in the United States distracted with sports somehow, otherwise they're just gonna realize they're in a dumpster fire. The United States is on fire. Okay, guys, Premier League. It's a Premier League fan show. It's the last Premier League fan show, but it's still a Premier League fan show. Can we all just agree that the unfortunate thing about this happening, the timing of us deciding to pack it in and fold up the chairs and close the bar down, Man City are not going to win the title this year.
No, they're not.
I want to do a video for us after the 115 charges come out.
We have no place to put it.
I know. I don't know.
We could just like sit in a bar and pretend we're being recorded.
Just Zoom friendship call.
Sure.
We could do that. We can just pretend like we're doing a live YouTube thing despite not doing it.
Like I just 3-0 against Spurs.
It was 4. I mean, keep saying 3 was 4.
I keep forgetting the 4th. I mean, the bigger thing is embarrassing day, getting smashed by Spurs. Spurs look good for it. I can't take anything away from them, but like it's not just a one-off loss. Their form this season,
5 in a row, really, lost 5 in a row in all comps. It's massive.
Just everybody, we all hopefully wanted them to falter, for something to happen, for like the wheels to fall off, something, but nobody could have expected this degree of the wheels falling off. They'll probably still finish second or third or something very respectful, but like this is a wild situation for Man City.
It's a crazy one. There was a few years ago, Paul, and I don't remember the specific year, but I saw somebody talking about it on one of the channels that they had been in this situation and still won the league. I think it was 2022 maybe, or 2020. Can't remember which title it was, but it was one of the earlier of the last 4. And they'd started really poorly. But I think this looks different. Like you can kind of tell that they're suffering a little bit. And it was the total points total was similar. But they hadn't lost 5 in a row. Losing 5 in a row in all comps is unheard of for City. So it's kind of glorious. I'm enjoying it, and I'm happy to be. My team was a big part of it. The first of the 5 was Spurs, and the 5th of the 5 was Spurs as well. So beat them twice in 5 games.
Yeah, it's funny how football works, where some teams just get other teams' numbers.
Yeah,
like this is very random. This is
for ages.
This is a basketball Raptors thing, but like Minnesota Timberwolves, I just found out, lost their 20th game in a row against Toronto. For whatever reason, Toronto Raptors have the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are a good team in basketball's number, and City have Man City's number, or Spurs have Man City's number. It's just weird how that happens.
Yeah,
I wish I was more confident putting money on it.
Before Unai Emery came to Villa, we lost 35 years straight to Manchester United at home. Like we could not beat them. It was insane.
I'm going to remind you that as much as he's a great coach, it probably had more to do with how shit they are these days than it is your manager.
We're talking about having numbers 35 years at home, losing or not winning against Manchester United. I mean, like it's Manchester United, and there was decades of brilliance, but 35 years is
that's pretty crazy for sure.
I think I have to remind myself those kind of streaks were meant to be broken. Every time somebody says, "Oh, it's the first time in however many years Crystal Palace does something or gets the double on Man United," I'm like, I hate hearing it, but I'm also like,
that
was a really long time. That was never going to be sustainable. This isn't how the world works anymore. The Premier League is too competitive.
Well, the Premier League is made for that to continue like that.
But I mean, maybe we'll just have this the check-in here. Like, what do we think is happening then? Because I've got a Liverpool fan who says it's too early to tell. I think we can all agree Man City have definitely shown their belly to the league in terms of like, somebody please go in for and kill them. And I know Arsenal are like behind quite a bit, and there's a common theme with these conversations is not a lot of people take Arsenal seriously, and then all of a sudden they started losing on top of that, so it's really easy not to take them seriously. But how are we all feeling with the title race right now?
Can JP go first, buddy? You got your hand up.
I definitely think this is showing a Man City side that we haven't seen for 5 years, where they are definitely looking weaker. But I also want to add, is this because of Rodri, or is this because there's so much other shit going on between Man City against the league, the 115 calls, Pep's new contract, not new contract, the Rodri out, the lawsuit between the league and Man City? Like, is it just accumulation of everything around City that's throwing stuff off?
Like, I would say Rodri is a huge miss. I think
70%.
Finally somebody gets the kind of recognition in the global stage for being the best center defensive midfield player on the planet.
Well, Modric won the Ballon d'Or, to be fair. Like, you know,
that's what I'm saying. Finally he got that. So like, great.
Agreed.
I think we'd all agree that when you lose a guy who's the best in the world, not just at his position, but in the world. But I also think we've said this a few times where they seem very dependent on the big fucking Norwegian robot to score goals.
Did you hear what? His XG is like 8 right now. It's like his XG like against Spurs was like just over 8 XG. That didn't score a goal. Like, I mean, just crazy. Like that it's that high, and he scored 2 goals in his last 7 games. He's not firing in the Premier League. He scored in Europe, or for his.
Well, I think we talked about this though before, didn't we? When they bought him, and obviously there was a lot of famous influencers and people that were like caught saying he's not going to do it, he's going to struggle in his first year, and we saw him fly. But
Rory,
we called this, didn't we? We said bringing in Haaland is a complete change in how City had been playing up to that point, right? The flow now is the ball through to Haaland, put it through to him. And so it's almost as if now they've become so one-dimensional. Outside of that, if he stops scoring, if he stops being as dynamic and as clinical, then have they actually shot themselves in the foot? Losing Rodri is a massive thing.
And selling Alvarez, I think, Luke, to go to your point.
I think so.
I think that's a massive error.
Yeah.
Like, because there's over-reliance on the one player and nobody else.
We talked about this. Mahrez would have been a guy who could have bailed him out. Alvarez was a new guy, but he was definitely there to bail him out.
They haven't replaced like
Jack Grealish
you would
expect
them
to. 100 million fucking pretty boy on the bench who's just really good for social posts after they win titles and drink champagne.
Yeah.
Like,
are they just like super out of form? Like, is this team not good enough to win the title, or are they just out of form?
They had 8 players that were around the age of 30 that started versus Spurs. They're the oldest team in the league. They have not refreshed their squad appropriately, both for the type of football they're playing and they're aging out. Now they have a lot of young players coming through, but those young players aren't replacing the players at the level that they're at, and that's a massive part of it. Having an older squad like that and not being able to run as much as Pep expects them to, like it's a massive issue. You can see it. They look tired. Walker's legs is, I think Liam said, look, he looks slow.
So Gunnar says Walker's finished this level. I mean, I'm going to argue Walker is still one of their best players.
Yeah, but he's slower than he was. And at 30, 31, 32, and that pace starts to go. He can't play the full 90.
Even if his pace starts to go, he's still faster than half of the league.
Yeah.
I know, but I'm just saying, at the end of a 90-minute game, when they've been running a lot, he can't keep up with a Timo Werner in that situation, and we go and score a fourth. Like that's the kind of situation that will happen.
To try and catch up. Like, does the 4th goal really matter, or was it the first 2 or 3?
Well, no, but he's chasing him down. It's not like he's not trying, and he can't catch him. Like he just looked tired. He looked tired, and he looked leggy. And it wasn't just the end of the game. He was like that for a lot of it.
Timo Werner's not like your average player, though. He is fast.
I know he's fast, but in the past, he could keep up with him. That's all I'm saying. He cannot anymore.
I think Brian's point is true. I think maybe we're isolating one specific player a little bit too much. I think it has the squad is a mix of new players that are not as good as the guys that left, which will always set you back, and then guys that are fucking amazing like KDB who are not as available as they used to be, or then guys that you could say are not as strong as they used to be, like a Walker. You combine all these things and then you throw in critical injuries like Rodri being unavailable.
Yeah, it's a combination of all.
And quite frankly, to do what they've done for as long as they've done, the amount of focus and intensity and exhaustion.
That's
Alex Ferguson talked about this all the time, and he didn't do what they did. Like you are eventually going to lose, and it's because you've been winning. Like the amount of winning that you've had will eventually act against you because you just can't sustain that level. And then you lose, and then you refresh, and that's the cycle, and you start over again. If they lose this season, that's not a terrible development for them. It probably is the natural evolution.
I think it maybe will trigger some movement in the in January and
100%.
Like that's that. Zaz, what would you think there? Like, do you see them going for like that midfield replacement in January? They're going to spend some money there to try to shore up that position.
Yeah, I think famously they haven't been spending as much as other teams for the last 4 or 5 years. You can bring out their overall spend or net spend. Did we just lose?
No, he just left because he's got to go to the can or something. So he'll be back.
Oh, okay.
He has incontinence, which is the inability to hold your bladder. And sometimes when he has a tinkle, he leaves.
Has to sprinkle.
Yeah. That's exactly.
It's a sprinkle tinkle. That's actually what his mom nicknamed it.
Yeah. Fair enough. So the thing with City is, I also think it's the games in a row that is the problem here, because they're still technically second. They're still, above everyone else other than the team that's leading. So like, I think the thing that's putting this under a bigger microscope is the fact that it's this moment in time. They've got Feyenoord on Tuesday or Wednesday, but then they've got Liverpool next week. So it's like, if they had fixtures, if they had fixtures going their way, they could easily turn this around. But like going to Anfield, it's a great place to turn it around, but at the same time, it's going to be really difficult for the next week to turn it. Yeah.
And I don't think they're going to be fit enough to do it. I think they're still in a scenario where they're just going to be the fitness problems are still going to be there, and they don't have the leaders in the team at the moment who are gonna drag them through. I just don't see that.
That's a tricky matchup. I don't think Liverpool are entirely healthy either. No. I don't think they will be by the time they have that matchup. So. That's where I want to see Pep maybe. What can Pep do is the question mark I always have.
Yeah.
Like when things are not working for you, which is very rare for Pep, when you have key players unavailable, which I don't think that's been common throughout his reign at Man City. Like, yes, players like a KDB might be injured, but the understudies they've had in the past have been so good. I will be very curious to see if he can actually earn that paycheck and make that game. I don't even mean win it. I just want to see if he's going to try something different and like maybe press the issue. But
signed another 2 years. I mean, I feel like that's a big thing to do. Considering
wasn't it 1 year?
No, 2 year. 2 year extension.
That means he's going to stay.
Yeah, but maybe
what's not staying?
Maybe that's
my pee where it should be. It's everywhere. Anyways, all right.
Maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. Maybe it's curious how the club's going to manage it, because I think Pep is he is who he is. He wins everything. Does he deal like if he gets into a situation where it's him, he becomes the problem, and they're not playing for him anymore because of how long it's been and the sort of tiresome work rate that's required to play in a Pep team? Does he end up becoming Is it a difficult situation for him for his job? In 6 months.
I would guess.
I would think he wouldn't be, but
2 or 3 players coming in would be like probably all that City squad.
Yeah.
I mean, they still have the best striker in the planet,
a top CM, a top defender.
I think he could have scored 3 against Spurs. It just wasn't his day. I think Rodri's still there if he gets healthy again. A young understudy, like they've got so much money to spend as well. Like they're going to be okay. It's just more of a question of, can they get their shit together this season, or are they going to give, and I guess this is the question I asked earlier, Are they going to give Liverpool a chance? Do we think Liverpool are the next best thing, or is it Liverpool and Arsenal? How do you guys feel about the conversation between Liverpool and Arsenal? Is it a 3-horse race, or are we talking a 2-horse race?
I think if Arsenal stay healthy, it's 3. But I think it's going to be a struggle for them to get back into the real conversation. We were sort of talking before we went live in regards to kind of Arsenal's situation. They've, because of their own problems with injuries and other situations, they've dropped a lot of points, and they put themselves in a situation where they have a long way to go to get back to that conversation as well. It will depend on if Liverpool have their own issues, which that could happen as well, because they're just winning every game right now, and that in itself is making it difficult to look at any other team. 8 points clear in this position is crazy. How far back are Arsenal now? Like, what's
one more? So it's 9 points on Arsenal.
I think it requires Liverpool to drop some points and have their own period of struggle where those teams can get back into it. But I do think if Arsenal stay healthy, you saw how well they played. With their Odegaard back and their defense, the really solid defense in the team. They're a solid team. They can certainly be in the conversation. Will they do anything with that? Probably not.
I mean, I will point out that although the scoreline was 3-2 and they certainly won, it did feel like Southampton did all they could to help Liverpool win today's game.
Oh wow,
yeah.
Like I was legitimately pretty surprised. I thought that was going to be an enjoyable cakewalk. Fantasy football, I captained Mo Salah. I was just there to see how he was going to do. And then it turned into like an entertaining game out of nowhere.
It was a very good game, actually. Yeah.
Turned into like an unfortunate, entertaining game because the question marks of, well, what if they weren't just so sloppy? What could they have done?
It was definitely sloppy in that scenario. There's a lot.
Good choice on the captain as well. I went Haaland. I just thought they had to. I thought City needed a big old statement, and that's kind of where I was going with that one. And yeah, kind of blew up on me that one. But
words of wisdom: don't take FPL notes from Luke.
You keep saying this. Hang on, you keep saying this, but I'm actually very high in FPL. So let's reel our necks in now, JP. Just because you've procreated, how are we going to do
my question for that
here? What's going on here? Stay focused.
Yeah.
Do you throw the Real Madrid game
it's the last one.
to try and beat City?
Yeah. It's a big topic of conversation. Ultimately, it's all like theoretical talk because we're not on a slot and we don't get to pick the team. But there's a lot of conversation in Liverpool circles to say that bizarrely the Real Madrid game is by far the least important of our next little run, which is very difficult. So today I had a feeling would be a bit of a banana skin anyway, so I'm glad we got the 3 points. Then we play Real Madrid, then we play City at home, then we play Newcastle away, and then we play the last ever Goodison derby away. So that's the sequence of games. In that sequence, a game against Real Madrid where in the Champions League we have Girona, PSV and Lille to come. We're already top. We're statistically like
it doesn't mean as much as it could.
The statisticians are saying we're like 3 points away from pretty much guaranteeing a top 8 place. The Real Madrid game has nothing riding on it beyond a little bit of like revenge and ego and payback and all that shit. So would I personally punt it if I was on a slot? Yes, I would. Just because I think Sunday is potentially a knockout blow for Man City. Because if it's 11 points, I just don't.
It's gonna be hard.
I don't know.
Really
hard.
Yeah. No team's ever come back from 8 points back.
No.
In like 35
in
years
this
or
point,
yeah.
So, and last point on this as well. Sorry, mate. Last point on this as well. BX Gunner says, if we can stay fit, we're in it 100%. Yeah, I mean, you've got to go up to West Ham next weekend. And if it's like 80, 90 minutes on the board and it's 0-0, and you know that you're already 9 points behind someone, and then if you do it and we beat City, it's 9 points again. Then you got to beat United, right? Then let's say we both win again. Then you got to do it again. Then you got to do it again.
We know Arsenal don't have that mentality, right? Like we know that they're gonna struggle in those moments. They have done the last 2 seasons.
And to be honest, I don't even know. I'm not even really calling out Arsenal. It's the concept of like getting yourself 9 points behind, having never done it before.
Yeah.
Because we were in that position. We used to be like 8-9 points behind Man City, and then we were like, yeah, we're gonna catch him. And it's like, no, you're not. Like, you're not gonna catch him at this point. So yeah, it's gonna be difficult. I think Man City can definitely put that run together when everyone's back. They'll make a couple of changes. Arsenal can, and if you look at who Arsenal have played, and especially the fixtures they've played this season, in terms of like they've played everyone away other than Liverpool and all that stuff, it's definitely still a race.
They'll
But
make
like,
it closer, but I don't know that they'll make up that.
yeah, it's a long way to go. But if they do drop points against West Ham, for example, it could potentially be like 11 or 12 again with them as well. Let's say like next week it's like 9 on Arsenal and 11 on City. Like psychologically, that's a big head start. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like it is Liverpool's. Obviously Liverpool are in the driving seat, but it isn't done. It's by no means done because
two tough games, I think, for Liverpool.
Yeah.
Realistically, you've got City obviously now who are facing down the barrel of despair, and
Yeah.
then you've got what I would argue is a fairly resurgent Newcastle. Right, Newcastle if they win tomorrow, they jump up to I think 5th in the league, 21 points. So they're around that conversation now all of a sudden as well. They're playing
and
a lot
away
better
as
football.
well. Yeah,
exactly, and I think these are tough games, right? So it really just depends. Although I do get a bit infuriated with you sometimes, as when you're just like, oh, I thought today was going to be a banana skin. Piss off. You're playing Southampton.
It was
pretty close to it, though. It was
humble.
pretty close.
It was a banana skin. Like,
I honestly did, though. I actually think we've got a better chance. I think not statistically, that's talking shit. In my like I actually think next week, because it's Anfield and because it's like City and everything, we'll be up for that game. I was worried after the international break. Our two worst performances this season were Nottingham Forest, where we lost, and the first half of Arsenal, which we drew, and they were both after international breaks. So I was a little bit like this is going to be shit. McAllister makes us tick. I knew he wasn't going to play today because he was in Argentina. Luis Diaz has been on great form this year. I knew he wasn't going to play today.
Wasn't exactly what your best not exactly your best lineup.
Yeah. BX I don't know if this came up. He's saying Arsenal will be second by Christmas. It's very possible. Very possible.
It's possible. I think you could see that for sure. I think it's possible. It's going to really depend on what happens with the City crisis and if they find a way to manage it.
I hope City get relegated.
Yeah, we all would hope that. I mean,
I hope it's like cool. 200-point deduction for City for being cheaters.
Yeah, you're going down to League One.
Yeah.
Sayonara.
Well, think about this.
Transfer ban for 3 years.
They lose the league. They get a proper penalty, i.e., they get relegated, and a transfer ban of at least 2 years, a year, 2 years. Like this potentially has the opportunity to really like derail this. They've still got great players, but will some of these players?
Oh, those players leave if they get relegated. I mean, they're not staying.
Yes and no. Like if they can continue to pay them obscene amounts of money, like maybe some of them just go, fuck it, I'll just ride the championship free. It's not going to affect my international status. The international,
but it will though. I think it'll affect their own, personal experience playing football, playing in a league one or in the championship when you've won 4 in a row with Pep Guardiola and
sure.
Like that. You're gonna move on probably. There'll be like a core of them that will stay because they kind of have to with contracts. But your bigger
a lot of young players who are really good.
You never know how players will react.
They have a great academy.
I would argue they have the best academy.
They'll push themselves up pretty quickly after that if it happens. But speculative at this point anyway.
We can dream.
JP, I always wonder what because you bring up academy a lot, but I'm never really clear about like what you're judging best academy based on.
I usually judge best academy based on the amount of players that come out of that academy within a 2-year, 3-year span who end up playing
sexiness,
EFL Championship or EPL and do well. I mean, Rico Lewis is a star. Foden. I mean, we have Morgan Rogers who came from Man City's academy, and he's just
brilliant
a baller.
player.
And there's
Brilliant
quite
player,
there's
You
quite
can also
amount.
look at like the under 18s, under 19s, under 21s. You can look at how they do and how they and how they've kind of make their transition to the first team and gives you a good sense of like how.
But I think actually to play devil's advocate, I remember bringing up this point a year ago.
I would say Chelsea's second.
Well, I said the problem with City from the youth development side is that because they've been able to buy so much talent, I would argue it's actually yes they have a lot, but they have to sell a lot, and then is Morgan Rogers' success at this point because of what he did at City? He obviously had raw talent, or was it Middlesbrough that kind of nurtured him and is now Villa are really starting to take him there? City was it a couple of years ago? City won the PL2 with their under 23s, and within 2 years, every single one of that 30+ squad was gone.
But
one player.
But a kid coming from your academy to start in your Premier League team doesn't necessarily justify if it's a quality academy. If he goes somewhere because he can't play, that's fine. If he still does well in all these other teams or leagues.
Good, okay, yeah, but so how many of them are playing?
Hang on, guys. I just pulled it up on Transfermarkt. Foden, Cole Palmer, Michael Olise, Brahim Diaz, Rico Lewis, Romeo Lavia, Jadon Sancho, Oscar Bob, Morgan Rogers. Like, it's actually a no-brainer.
Can't argue with it, really.
You can't argue with those names. Like, I don't even know if it's possible. You'd have to, yeah. But this is
one guy every 5 years.
I would say Southampton. No, Southampton in like 10 years ago. Yeah, but Southampton now.
2005.
They had a good run where they were bringing it. They like players coming through their academy that were amazing. But I think City have taken over that. So Chelsea were also in that conversation, but have faded a little bit with it as well, based on the structure of the club and how much they care about it.
It's always moment in time. People don't going back and being like a lot of the guys that at a certain point. Man City bought a lot of young players for their academy, so they weren't like just getting the local lads and teaching them up.
They're not all from Manchester. Like went to kindergarten at the school down the street and ended up in the academy. Yeah. Like that's not how
Man United have Man United started doing that 2 or 3 years ago as part of like their revamp to refocus on youth, and now they're like one of the best academy level clubs, whatever that means. But it was because they recruited a bunch of guys like Garnacho. Like they went out and got him and brought him into the academy. Man City were doing the same thing before, so it's like, what really qualifies being the best academy? I always kind of go back like Southampton. Like when I go more at Southampton because it feels more like they're dealing with their local talent pool and turning them into something. I even go more like some of the London clubs because they do that as well.
I think BX kind of makes a good point here too about like where players are coming from. Like, they're looking into certain markets and bringing players in from certain markets, and then
Brexit
putting them through their academy, right? And the academy isn't just local players; it's the academy and how they function and how they develop players, and bringing those developed players through either potentially the first team or, as Chelsea did for years, selling them on for a good chunk of change, which then pays for a lot of what you do in the first team. So I think ownership and sort of philosophy has a lot to do with how well an academy 100%. Functions within a club as well.
For the record, just to clarify something, the club that produces the players that have played the most Premier League minutes last season was Manchester United. So just want to point it out. Another way to look at it. Not necessarily like the sexiest names, not
part of the conversation
of the world.
Part of the conversation.
But we also rely on those kids because the team is shit. So a lot of those minutes are for our own guys. We needed it. We needed it. So I guess what we're saying isn't really all that specific because nobody wants to go on a line and say, "Yeah, Liverpool's going to win the fucking." Oh, sorry. Whatever I was gonna say that. Yeah,
you threw up in your mouth.
We're also not saying Arsenal are in it. We're also saying we're not saying Man City's out.
Again, we all know
a lot of hedge bets.
It's all after Christmas. That's going to tell us when we're going to know to get because the Christmas period is the games are thick and fast. The old adage of the games are thick and fast. But almost every team, if they're in a cup competition or in Europe. Especially the sort of top 6 to 8 teams are going to play every 4 days inevitably. So if you're playing it every 4 days and you get to that point and you're still in the conversation, whether it's the league or in a cup, then you're probably going to stay in that position because you've got enough of a squad to manage it because it's madness when you get through December.
I'm going to call it right now. Brighton finish 5th. Oh, there it is.
Whoa, that's
what?
I don't think so.
I just wanted to say something that was possible, but
also some controversy to talk about.
It's possible. It is controversial. I don't think they have the depth for it.
No, me neither.
The last 2 times we lost the title once by 1 point, and then last year 7 games to go, we were top of the league. Both times Salah had AFCON, and he came back from AFCON like a shadow of himself. He doesn't have AFCON this time, so hopefully he doesn't fall off the planet this time.
With football again.
Yeah, big time. Everyone's saying that about Slot, though. I think the thing with Slot is he's so different of a character than Klopp, and I think this isn't possible without the squad Klopp left. Like, I don't think
Klopp is the reason why you guys are in this conversation.
Yeah, I don't think in the Premier League history there's ever been a handover like this, where it was like primed and ready to go. Like, go and do what I couldn't do last year, kind of thing.
Because City kind of did that a little bit when Pep came in. They had won, a title and some other trophies, but not at the level.
Yeah. But the supercomputer, I'm just checking it here this week now, because obviously it updates every week. We went from 60% to 69.5. So they put us up from 60% to 70%. City dropped 11% from 34 to 23, and Arsenal went from 5 to 6.5. So
if you don't win, you're a bottler. If you don't win, you guys are bottlers.
Yeah.
You're gonna bottle
that
the
would
title.
be a very valid thing. If Salah wins a major trophy and finishes with the favorite to win the Ballon d'Or,
they will not give him the Ballon d'Or.
Yeah.
They will not. He could have 50 goals, and they will not even put him in the top 5.
No, that's ridiculous. They have to.
How much they hate on
there's no. They don't hate him that much. Like, I think there's been arguments against
try and find Barca and Madrid players, and that's it. The Ballon d'Or is fucking a waste of time.
Well, Rodri did deserve to win.
First one in a decade.
Real Madrid win the Champions League quite often, and their own league, which is 2 major trophies. And they have a lot of players that do well.
Who play in their international side at a high level as well. So
I think there's something to why Salah doesn't get more respect from those committees or whatever the fuck you want to call them. I also think there's something to, I mean, they glazed over Lewandowski when he should have won. They have their favorites. It's already kind of corrupt, but you always have to look at, did he not win? Okay, who did win? And do you actually think that player had a better season than the person you're griping about? Sometimes it's a yes, sometimes it's a no. I think now that Messi's out of like the force fit of always just getting it to him because he's being given flowers, even though he doesn't necessarily always earn them. If Mo doesn't win it this year, I just want to know who would. And if it's a Lewandowski scoring 30 plus goals,
maybe Kane
and winning a title for Barcelona.
Kane doesn't deserve it.
If Kane goes and wins the Bundesliga and wins another cup and then goes
Champions
on.
League. He would have to win Champions League.
I was just going to say, goes on to do something in the Champions League. You'd have to consider him. I mean, he scored more goals than Haaland did in the Bundesliga in his first 50 games. Like he's absolutely smashing it right now. It's ridiculous. He's like seven hat tricks since he's started playing.
I mean, he couldn't help Bayern beat Villa, so.
Honestly,
whatever, dude. One game. That's a difference. Give me a break, man.
Yeah, but it's true. He couldn't. Imagine the strongly worded email that Azaz is going to write when Salah doesn't win again. Imagine the social media post. It will be over 2,000 words. It will be so. It will be something the Economist should publish.
I actually don't think he writes it himself. I think he just goes ChatGPT.
No,
he's
like Mo Salah upset.
I actually
didn't win. Terrible.
I actually couldn't even be asked anymore, to be honest. It's so blatant. A couple of people said the points. I think a couple of people alluded to it. I can't even be asked with it anymore, to be honest. It's so obvious why they don't give Mo Salah stuff. It's way beyond YouTube pay grade. Like it's very bad, to be honest with you. And
like,
they can do
they're
fucking racist. Like, it is what it is, you know. Like, it is what it is. So it's all good.
Was Yaya Toure ever, when he was the most dominant player? Yaya Toure, African, and was for a couple of seasons, I thought, one of the most dominant players in the world.
Why do you look like
he even in the running?
Arab Muslim is the next level, though. There is another level of racism, particularly at this point in the world. So it's
I'm not trying to say apples to apples.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
No,
I
know you're not. Yeah.
I know they have an issue with the continent as
Yeah,
a
yeah.
whole. That's always been like said because they don't think the international quality is good enough, so that if you win an international tournament but it's an African tournament, they don't really even consider it. It seems like.
Yeah.
But I was struggling for like who would have been a candidate that was maybe. I mean, probably not a winner because Ronaldo was playing and Messi was playing during his time. But I'm going to look up to see if like a Yaya Toure was even in close consideration because I legitimately thought he was like one of the best players in the world for.
He was phenomenal.
3 seasons.
He was, yeah. But most of those Messi and Ronaldo ones were deserved, man. Like the narrative around like no one's won it in like this many years. Like if Vinicius had won it this year, for example, like compare that to any Messi or Ronaldo season. Obviously, but like the level, the drop,
huge.
You know, it's like I always joke about with my friend and Brian. This is like obviously, you know, I don't rate Richarlison the highest, even though I love watching Tottenham play. But like,
either, buddy.
but like that's Brazil's number 9. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like that's Brazil's number 9.
Oh yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Grace. Like that's actually a really good point, and I think Brazil it hasn't been picked up enough on the lack of dominance that they had. You know, you think watching World Cup 98, 2022, like
Jesus was the other one fighting Richarlison for the
it's the drop.
Jesus and Richarlison. That's your best number 9.
That's your guys. Yeah.
Think of the legacy players that we know: the Cafos, the Gilberto Silvas, the fat Ronaldo, quote unquote, the Ronaldinho's. Like, it's just it's kind of strange what's happened like with Brazil. They've still got some very talented players, but
BX is a big Ronaldinho fan. Yeah, Brazil, I've got some talent coming through. It's more just like what's happened in the last like 5 to 8 years.
Yeah, the levels have fallen off considerably from where they were.
Yeah.
System than special players.
All right. So I'm going to ask you guys a question because we're not going to have transfers to talk about either. And it's just generally curious to know. Everybody here represents, for the most part, fans of different clubs. There are 2 of you who are Aston Villa fans, but I'm sure you have different opinions about this. Hypothetically, come January, I want to hear who you think your club needs and who you would like to see come in if I gave you one player. And again, I don't mean like I'm a genie. Like, try to pick something realistic.
Why the hell aren't you a genie?
A rumor that
it's our last stream, and you can't be a genie.
Paul, let's go. Let's have it.
Be a genie.
Listen, I'm not going to be a genie. If I'm going to be a genie,
I'm with Paul on this.
You guys.
I'm with Paul on this, but now I got to look real quick.
Luke the Duke, who would you want to bring in to support Aston Villa for the rest of the season come January?
Jesus, because this team needs
well done.
That's it. He's the only man. Oh God, this is a.
So you're after an attack of
It's a tough one to answer on the spot like that. Like I didn't really dig into that.
I would say positionally, give me a bit of time to think about it. But I think we need another dangerous attacking winger. I think we were upset with Diaby's form last year, and he was very all over the place, but like Bailey was playing pretty well, so it kind of like worked out. But I think what JP and I would both agree on is the lack of speed on the wings that Villa have lost, and like the threat, because Diaby was so stupidly quick. Like as a defender, I know I've come up against these players. You can't get close to them because if they knock it, they're gone, right? So you have to drop a lot further back, which means you allow the press a lot more. Whereas right now, we don't seem to have anything. And because Morgan Rogers has been so good, and he has, all of a sudden Villa is driving through the middle a lot more, right? So our gameplay has changed, and Bailey's form is through the floor bad. So I would say some form of attacking based player. JP mentioned before, and I actually quite like the idea. I think still we need someone a bit quicker, but Gibbs White at Forest. I think JP we talked about him. Unbelievable player. And I think
put him in the 10 and then put Rogers back on the left, or put him on the right mid.
I definitely think we need some more speed. We also need another right back. I think we're glaringly obvious that we don't have enough faith in Cash, and he can't keep himself fit. And then The young lad Ned played a couple of games, hasn't featured again. Now we're playing this Bogart who's just not really running with it. So, yeah, an attacking kind of mid and a right back of the two. JP, is there any actual name that
I'm going to jump in here because I got a right back ready to go. I want Livramento from Newcastle. I think he's not 100% trusted, and I think he has a very high ceiling that it hasn't been looked at very well. I think he's a quality right back who would do really well at Villa under Unai Emery. Or there's this guy, he's at I can never say it. Girona.
No, Granola. You were right the first time. Granola. Right.
Genoa. He's at Granola. Yeah, fuck. And there's a right back there who's like right back, center back. He's like 21, 22. It's like Arnos or something like that, or it starts with an A. It's Arnu Martinez. I would take him too as a right back, defensive back.
I grant you Martinez. You're not going to get Livramento.
Another Martinez.
Livramento you cannot have.
Villa too. I would take
Newcastle wanted him so badly that they spent money even after he had just done like an ACL surgery or something after Southampton. And they spent a ton of money on a guy that theoretically was potentially broken good. So you're not getting him. He does play. He is injured still consistently with Newcastle. That's why he doesn't play as much. But a right back seems sure. We'll take that.
I don't like this.
What would Liverpool
I don't like this, Genie. I don't like this.
What would Liverpool need?
I'm just going to have to go with some kind of backup for Gravenberch. You know, if it wasn't for Salah, Gravenberch has been our player of the season. And actually, up until about 3 weeks ago, he was Liverpool's player of the season. And then Mo just came along with this like little run. But, you know, if we were to lose Gravenberch, it then makes McAllister have to be like the deepest midfielder again for us. He doesn't have the same physicality that Gravenberch has. Plus, we need him on the ball a little bit higher. And also, Endo he's a sub like today to come and close out games. You know, we don't want to be necessarily going to war with City or Arsenal or someone with Endo starting. I love Endo, but like to come on and close games. And like even today he gave away a silly foul and we could have given away a goal from that. So obvious choice is Zubamendi. So, you know, if he's still available and he doesn't want to be Rodri's bitch next year, then, you know, come and be Gravenberch's bitch.
No centre back. Like Kanate and Van Dijk are great, but if one of them get injured, do you have cover there? I don't think so.
Yeah, I do. I actually do rate Joe Gomez, to be honest with you. Like he's not on.
He's a good backup. Sure.
Yeah, he's not on their level.
Paper mache Joe.
Yeah. He's not been injured for. I mean, Ibu was paper mache with Klopp too. You know, Gravenberch was always injured. Ibu was always injured. I don't know. I do think that. I think we said it earlier in the summer. Like when Liverpool weren't buying anyone, one of the things I remember saying was, the first guy that Arne Slot actually signed was his fitness coach called Ruben Peters, and apparently these guys have like cracked the code of like red zones and like when people are fit and when to rotate them and whatnot.
Coming in.
Oh yeah, all one of those. And I feel like to see Kanate, he wasn't great today, but like to see Kanate playing like 3 games a week regularly is blowing all of our mind. So yeah, you make a great point, Luke. We might want to get a centre back too. If I had to pick one, though, it would be the defensive mid. But if I'm allowed to, then yeah, I'd bring in a defender too.
I mean, Zubamendi is definitely a specific player. I know I've seen his name attached to this position, and Gravenberch is his profile is such a hard thing to duplicate. Like you're not going to find a guy with his size who glides through the press. Yeah. He's not even that good. I don't think he's that great a passer, but like his gliding through the press and his passing being what it is, the combination with his size, he's kind of custom built for what Slot seems to want to play. So that's a hard position to replicate because it's not just a midfield player anymore. It's like how do you find a second coming of that profile? But Zubamendi, if you could get him, I mean, fantastic player. And the two of them rotating would be, even if they managed to play together, would be insane. Brian, do you have any sense of what you would like Spurs to be focusing on?
I do, yeah. I don't think we need anything up front. We've scored the most goals in the Premier League this season, and that's we've got a lot of depth in a lot of positions up there. It is defensively, despite how well Ben Davies and Dragusin did against the Man City side, who aren't really firing. To be fair, we need another center half. So kind of stealing sort of where Zaz was with, or where you guys were just speaking about. We need someone with experience. Like, and I don't, from a name perspective, I would say somebody like a John Stones who can play with the ball at his feet, but can also like has the leadership and has won a lot. Is something we desperately need in our squad. Like, we've got a lot of really good players that have leadership qualities, but don't have the necessary or necessarily have the wins under their belt. So a player like that, there's other players with similar profiles I think that would fit it, but we need like somebody who can come in if Romero's injured, which he seems to be doing, and Van de Ven when his hamstring goes again, because he's going to do it 2 or 3 times a season. And Dragusin's quite young, so a player that's going to come in and kind of galvanize that position and make it solid. Because I think the rest of the park we're pretty covered at the moment. We've got some good young players coming through, and like I said, we're scoring a lot of goals. So I think defense is the main position that we're desperate for something that's just really, really solid, and that can also play out from the back. And that's why I think John Stones has got that profile that I like. I don't know from City either, because you got a poacher from City, but I mean it's the type of player,
Yeah, he's also like, what even is a John Stones as a player anymore? You know what I mean? Like, he's so good that he plays center defensive midfield player.
Yeah,
so he's
that's
not
what
really
I like
even
about
a center, not even a center back anymore. He's just like this weird Pep
He would be
Guardiola,
great in Ange's system,
Frankenstein.
just his ability with the ball and his vision to see play pass. We play out from the back heavily, and it's just what we need. And you take Romero and even Van de Ven, but Romero in particular, because his forward passing between the lines, I think it's one of the highest percentages in the league. He's incredibly good at it, and he creates a lot for us starting from the back. And Stones is sort of another player who kind of does the same thing. And so
you want a ball playing center back to
ball playing, but also like leadership in that back line as well.
Well, I mean, 115 charges.
Yeah, that's
there's ever going to be
maybe that'll galvanize some of their players. They'll be like, "Fuck this, I'm out."
So what does United need?
Tired of losing to Spurs and just like, I'm going to go try
exactly. I'm just going to go try
winning.
Well, what about exactly what JP said. What about you, Paul? What do United need
besides the team?
So many things. You know what? Because I am so tired of not having a left back for 18
Luke Shaw
months.
played center half for like the last 10 minutes of your game.
Yeah, he's actually pretty good as a center half, to be honest. But I think if he played as a left back in the system, a left wing back, he'd be broken really quickly. Because so I think
because he's always broken really quickly.
Because he's always broken. So we straight up, I can't handle Delo playing on the left anymore. He's been fine, but it's been 18 months of seeing somebody who's right-footed play in a system that seems to always require left-footed passing. Yeah. So I'm a fairly big fan of At-Nouri from Wolves.
He's a good player.
They play a similar system. Sometimes he's a left back, sometimes he's a left wing back. He's got a good cross. He's very attack focused. I think if United can get their shit together with possession and they start like dominating possession a little bit like they're supposed to, I think what he brings in terms of quality and attack would be really interesting. And he doesn't seem to be like one of those guys where like he would be a liability in the defensive side of the game, which we've brought in guys before that were just like, oh wow, really good in attack, but fuck, are they terrible in defense? Like not Premier League proven. So I would like to see him if Wolves will be willing to sell. But then I like this hipster choice as well that I really like. There's this kid called Angelo Stiller, plays in the Bundesliga. And he's what I would love to have back at United, where he is just like this. He's got every pass in his locker. Like he's very press resistant. He knows how to tackle, but he's there to Michael Carrick the ball. Like he's just there to pass. Like long range, short range, through the lines. I can't tell you. Paul Pogba is maybe the last guy I remember having like passing skills in the midfield, but was non-combative and kind of lazy and a bunch of other stuff that came with him. I haven't seen a midfield player that could pass really well in 5 or 6 years now at Man United. And there's some really good midfield players. Like I like Kobe Manu. He's great and he can pass the ball, but like, he's not like
He's not a maestro, like a
pass master is like
a De Bruyne kind of style.
Yeah, player. I know the Italians label these positions, and there's like this fancy term for it, but like I just want a Michael Carrick-esque. Adam Wharton for Crystal Palace. I'd be happy with him as well.
Yeah,
I think they'd want a ton of money.
Good show.
Robinson from Fulham, Anthony Robinson
left
from
back,
Fulham, the left back.
Yeah,
I think he's a top level left back that hasn't been picked up yet.
Yeah, the weird thing is we need a left wing back now, not a left back.
Yeah, because you're 3 at the back now, right? Your system changed,
yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how that
it changes the profile. And I don't think I would have happily had him. I'd take anybody with a left foot right now. I sort of got like whatever. But it's such an important position. I actually think the rumors that Alphonso Davies might be one of our top targets might be true, because I could see them just going, all right, well,
take the money.
Oh man,
he needs to pay him a lot of money.
I'd love to see him in the Prem for any team.
He's a free transfer. You have to pay him a lot of money.
I think he's got it. Like, isn't he looking at Real? Isn't that Real?
Yeah, that's what they say.
Destination, right?
That's what they say, but they say that about Euro as well. Like everybody was like, "Oh, United are interested in Euro, but they'll never get him because Real Madrid already have him locked up." And then it's like, well, not really, because we got him. So I would love that. I would just be happy to see him play in the Premier League for my team.
Same. I'd love to see him as a good Canadian kid coming to,
and as a left wing back too. I'm just like I would be very curious to see what he could do with his pace and speed as a left wing back.
He'd smash it. How old is he now? He's 26.
He has to be like 26 or 27 now.
I feel like he's
like 24.
He's only 24. Okay, so still lots of room to grow as well.
Yeah,
playing at a very high level. Great player.
Yeah. Oh well, that's the transfer talk over. Oh, miss transfers the most.
Yeah, that's your favorite, Paul.
The most. So I mean, the natural rundown of this, I guess, is if we get sentimental, I'm just going to pull this out of my ass and ask a question. What has been your favorite part of the North End podcast / YouTube channel experience? And I'm going to just cut to it and say, don't say the friendships along the way or some shit. That's fine. Whatever. I just want to be more like specific about something we've done that was cool or what you liked about it. Any advice for anybody watching who wants to try to start this kind of regular content shit? What do you guys got?
I've got one that I enjoyed. I think every now and again we did try and push things out the boundary. We did a couple of fun episodes. Brian, you and I were involved with one with a friend of mine, Nathan, who played like semi-professionally.
Yeah, that was a good show. I remember that.
Like JP, as you obviously, I don't know if you weren't involved at the time.
No.
Go back and it's on our was it on YouTube?
I listened to it.
Yeah, it's a YouTube one, I think.
Yeah. So
I'll take a look for sure.
He played high level like his whole life, and COVID kind of killed his career. He was playing in Sweden at the time, but like he was still like, I could play top level. Like, and I played football with him, and he genuinely is a very good player. But he talked about like stuff that happened to him in the youth system. A lot of these coaches that are coming out getting caught with abuse. A lad he played with, was it Wolves of Birmingham, who went on to commit suicide. Like just the things that happen behind the sines and hearing about it. Like
it was a good conversation.
It was really good. And then we did a great episode on mental health one, and we obviously had we got Stephen
Caldwell.
Stephen Caldwell. Yeah, it was nice enough to join us, and yeah, I think that was good. I'd say the friendships, but no.
Are we glazing over? Are we just Stephen Caldwell, former Scottish?
It was a good one to call the Stephen Caldwell one. It was, and he's a talker, so he went on for you just let him go. You ask him a question, he just chat. My favorite, but something I missed the most that we never really have done properly since the beginning of this was when we got together actually physically. And we had like the one memory was at the lake view, and we brought mics down, and we just set up the mics, and we're sitting outside.
That was great fun.
Yeah, and just chatting at a pub. Like,
was that the one where you guys got drunk and got sloppy by the end?
Yeah, well, yeah.
You have to be way more specific, JP. That was the first
sloppy at the end of a lot of them, JP. That was a common occurrence. But it was obviously it's nice to be with people in person and to have it. And when we first started the podcast, we did it at my old studio at the Great Hall, and we had this round table, and we just set up the mics at the round table, and we sat there, obviously drinking and having a laugh and talking.
I missed that. I really
that was like I wanted it to always be that again, but again, it's hard enough to get people together. So this, the COVID sort of became the default. All right, just get on a Zoom call, and then obviously StreamYard came around. But I miss those times. Those were amazing moments. But it's hard to really isolate. I mean, we've been doing this a long time. Like Paul, I don't remember what year it was we started doing it, but I want to say 9 years ago, probably, when they first started the podcast, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a long time ago. So, there's a lot of memories there. There's a lot of good times. There's a lot of frustrations. There's a lot of moments where it's like, what are you guys doing? Show up. But
David Convery, tip out.
Yeah. But I appreciate, and I do appreciate everybody who's been involved in it, and everybody who's put their time in. It's been a blast.
I'll tell you, my favorite was so Great Hall in Toronto. David Convery, Brian, I, and myself would sit around a table very early in the days. Luke might have been involved. And we just get drunk. Like the whole theme of the show originally was, wouldn't it be funny if instead of going to a pub and talking shit, we just sat around and got drunk and talked shit. And then we realized that you just can't listen back to that anymore.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
It was like 3 hours of absolute.
We would circular arguments, like because nobody realized what was going on, and like host. 3 hours of like. So sometimes we would go across the street to a pub called the Dog and Bear, and we would continue our arguments and our drinking. And there's one night in particular where it came up out of nowhere.
Oh God!
David Convery thought that he was faster than Brian Ireland. And then Brian swore that he was faster than David Convery.
Man, I was
so very quickly. This turned into a back alley race.
Yeah.
In the rain.
I have a video of it somewhere as well. It was just
please don't post that on the internet, Paul. I appreciate it. If you
like a 50 to 60 yard sprint in a back alley.
I didn't even start the race. I just slipped.
It was so fucking funny. And I was like telling people, "Come look at this. Come look at this." And people were like, "You guys are so drunk and so dumb. We don't want to see this shit. I don't know what this is."
It was funny.
It was very funny. Turns out David Convery was, in fact, faster than Brian Ireland.
Well, he was faster in that moment, certainly. We played football together, and when we ran on the pitch, he was not faster than me. But I was very wasted.
There's no video recording of that one, though, of course.
No, there doesn't need to be. He's not a fast. He was never fast in his life. Just in that moment, he was faster than me. He had his moment. It was great. I had mine, and it was messy.
I'm gonna jump in that I thought it was pretty special that you guys. I don't know how I got turned on to the channel. Started listening to it straight up for like a year. Started chatting in on some of the things and posting a few things and getting in contact with you guys on Instagram. And then it was, hey, can I come on for a show? And then it was, you guys just had me, and I thought that was like the coolest thing. And you guys just letting me into your friend group, knowing pretty well that I am just a complete shithead. So I do appreciate the open door to literally anyone.
Yeah. We actually let you on the fucking channel, JP.
I know.
Yeah, I used to run this social, so I was the one talking to him all the time, and it was it just felt easier to say yes, you can come on the show, because then the constant stream of dick pics would stop, because it was getting aggressive.
Yeah,
and it was like
the weird thing. They were always mine,
like they were black and white, like lighting. Oh, I know it wasn't always yours. I could tell that was the range of ethnicities gave it away.
So much bigger than my own.
Yeah. Oh well. I mean, they'd have to
be. This is the North End.
True. That's also going to be. Oh my God, we're not going to listen to that fucking song again.
Make that I just remembered. I just had to sing it one.
Azaz, you're on the spot, buddy. Tell us what's the best part of this thing that we did for a little while.
I think summer 2022 when we all did the director of football sketches. They were really good.
Good shout.
They were really good.
Yeah, that was a hard one. I don't think anybody got anything close to right.
No, I don't think so. I bought Nkunku, I remember, and then like 2 weeks later he went to Chelsea, and I was like, oh great. But yeah, I think that was probably because I saw like all the effort that everyone put into it, and I think Luke went first, and like his whole presentation was like he was in full character. And I was like, yeah, this is sick. Like, you have to actually pretend like you're the director of football. Like, it's not just like, if I was director of football, it's like,
I am the director
like, you're speaking as director of football kind of thing. Is very cool. Yeah.
It was the loud salute and the German that I maybe went a little over the top with. But other than that, I thought I really nailed it.
You did. You did.
You did.
Yeah.
You did. That was a special show. It was when you pretended you were responsible for 20 minutes. I remember that.
Have to try. Didn't like it. Went back to the normal operation.
I really wonder what Connie's favorite moment was, but too bad he's not here.
Question at this stage: Is he real? Or is it a figment of our imagination?
Yeah, he's not actually a real person. We just we created him in our own minds.
It could be AI.
Yeah.
I think he would have said, and I think I know this.
The one time he showed up on time, that was his favorite moment because we were all praising him.
I think we went to watch a game on a Saturday or Sunday, and then we did a show after it, and we had gone to that Spurs place.
Yeah, the done right.
And then we went and like recorded something after and up in the studio, and it was like next level drunk. And like people started, I think it was like somehow
we got in fights and we got intense,
and people rolled in as well to like hop on the show. I think it's my second favorite memory, and I can barely remember it because I was so drunk. Yeah, I think that would have been his first favorite.
Yeah, makes sense. I could see that. I could see him saying that for sure. Those early days when we were, again, like I said, when I was talking about mine, it's a part of it that I missed was being in the room with people and being able to sit and have the chat. But like you said, Paul, it was always too messy. So it was never like good for the content. It was good for us. It was because we just had a good time, but not for anybody watching.
I just couldn't handle weekday hangovers anymore. It was like
that as well. Yeah,
it got loopy.
There was.
I can tell anybody out there advice: find good group of people that you could just regularly chat with on a subject. Doesn't matter what the subject is. Doesn't matter if you're getting views or likes or whatever. It is weirdly very cool to just have a thing that you can look forward to once a week. That's just like a chat. I think that's what book clubs are for most people. I think we found our version of a book club.
Yeah.
It's like a football club, but like if you're out there and you've got an interest in this kind of thing, it doesn't have to be people that are already in your circle. You can build a circle. Like I knew Brian before this, and I didn't know anybody else before this. And
if you want to
like-minded people find each other.
For sure. And if you want any advice on how for it to be successful, so I have another channel, although that channel's ending as well because of for other reasons, but they are similar to the reasons for this one. Consistency and doing things like the same on a regular basis every week with the same people with the same time grows your numbers really fast. So if you want to do that, our other channel has 9,000 subscribers and this one's around 500. So the difference in consistency and putting out content is massive. So if you do decide to do a YouTube channel of any kind, whatever the content is make sure that you do it consistently the same time with the same quality week in, week out.
I think what he's saying is this might be the end of the North End podcast.
I'm just adding,
but this is the start of the North End consultancy service. And
yes, exactly.
Very reasonable rate.
It's a good one, Luke. That's a good one. I might use you. You might be good for this for me with your
I think it's the start of the Tottenham on tour consultancy from the sound of it. He was pretty clear that the Tottenham one's good.
It's actually the one that worked really well. But no, I mean, don't get me wrong. This one was great. It was just a matter of like, again, the reason why we're stopping it is because of time and consistency is difficult for us to maintain. So
I will say,
and because David Convery is going to be indicted.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is
the fact that he's
on the Diddy list. He's on that list. I will say one with Connie, a good memory I have is I not long got back in the country from traveling, and there was this weird virus going around that people were talking about and lots of words. And so myself, Brian Ireland, and David Convery met up to pot, right? And we got into some drinks. Brian got
I specifically skipped this particular pod.
It was a messy one.
An enclosed small space.
So we went on, and it was like an hour and a half, and then we're like, yeah. And Connie and I were just like, yeah, whatever. Then Brian was pleasantly calm, and then not so calm, and he's like, you guys need to take this serious. This is real. And Connie were like, you need to chill the fuck out, dude. Like, I'm not gonna let a cold stop my life. I'm gonna go out.
What of us should about that, Luke?
Sit down. Well, I don't know. I still wouldn't change my ways, but
because you're an idiot. But that's besides the point.
Oh, fuck it. You gotta live a life. But it was funny in hindsight to be like to have an immediate no.
It was like the next day the pandemic was announced.
Literally,
it was like
the next day.
I listened to the show and just like, oh fuck.
I had lost my job essentially and everything that I was doing in my life, and I knew that was going to happen because I work in events, and I was told from everybody in that moment. So for me, it was like, no, seriously, guys, this is fucked. We're done. Like, I'm not going to do anything for the next 2 years. Everybody's like, oh, it's going to be fine tomorrow. 2 weeks max. Anyway,
Yeah, that was
Good
that
times.
was the one. That was.
And you know what? On the flip of this, I what a great thing to have as a base to talk to regular people about weird subjects like football during the dark days of the Pando. Like this got, I know Convery and I have said this before, like this helped us a lot because we had something to do, something to look forward to. When
it got us through it, I would say, in a lot of ways.
When football was being played, we could talk about how weird it was that there was nobody in the crowd, but we could still talk about it. And it was, it's pretty special. And it was there for us during that weird time.
Bundesliga. We all bought.
We did. I remember that. I remember that.
Long
I remember
sleeve.
that. We like picked a team and they were talking about players and stuff.
Yeah, I've got a
'Cause there was
lime
no
green
football to talk
long
about.
sleeve Wolfsburg jersey, and it
Yeah,
is-
you picked Wolfsburg. I remember.
Yeah. I just love the name
I
of
think
it.
it was
It's like an
Leverkusen,
old
if I'm
figure.
not mistaken. I can't recall.
was
I think
Schalke.
No. Mine
Shock.
was Wolfsburg. Yeah. You were Leverkusen. I
I
think.
think it was Leverkusen. Yeah.
Well,
So funny. We
I got a question
just
for you
randomly
guys.
picked teams because we're like, there's no EPL on at the moment,
There's
and the Germans are playing. Let's go watch that for a bit.
God bless the
The
Germans.
Germans.
It was
Here
only
we go.
lasted for like 2 or 3 weeks until the Premier League came back, and then we're like, we forgot about it completely. But yeah, that was a good one.
Give me your favorite team that doesn't reside in England and isn't like an AC Milan, Real Madrid.
TFC.
Glasgow Celtic.
All right. I mean, it's outside England, but I was meaning outside the United Kingdom. But I'll take it, I guess.
Well,
TFC.
that's not what you
TFC for
said,
me.
JP.
In Europe. Fuck. Outside of the UK.
Borussia Dortmund. I always have
I
that
do
wall
like
of yellow.
Borussia
I always
Dortmund.
think that's a pretty cool, like
Yeah,
minor
Paul
town.
was a
Like,
Wolves fan for a couple of seasons as well. He was into Wolves.
They're definitely in Britain.
They are.
definitely in
That's
England.
I don't know. I think they're based in Portugal.
That's
Yeah,
true. I think most
yeah.
of them are. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I did once find a Portuguese Wolves supporter club in Portugal.
Sensational.
Sounds
That
Well,
was pretty fun.
There was a lot of immigrants there. A lot of Brits have moved to like Portugal and Spain and ruined those countries. So we like to spread
yeah,
out.
colonialize. You love that stuff. It's
Yeah.
good.
Hey, listen, they're getting their own back now. I don't know if there was a report that said that more British Indians or more Indians own property in London than white, and everyone's like, haha, we bode our time, and now look at us.
Reverse
Like,
colonialism.
like-
There you go.
English food or Indian food, it's not a contest. It's Indian food. It is so good in England.
Oh yeah, Indian food in England is
Oh,
ridiculous.
it's fantastic.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's my favorite. It's my
The
favorite.
pizza shit though. They still haven't figured out pizza. That's all I'm gonna say. Controversial.
You just eat ranch.
Yeah.
Add ranch.
Indian food in England
There's
is
some
amazing.
good pizza in London, man. Vincenzo's is very good, really well done pizza. But it's
I need to get back so bad.
Let's just start another channel after this. So let's focus on
we're gonna do
random
Food in
food
London.
from
The
other
traveling
places.
of Luke and I's.
Like
Yeah.
this week, we're evaluating the best Mexican place in Australia.
I mean, food does really well
would
on
have to
YouTube.
buy
So
that.
you know, if you got a
Find
good
it.
channel about food, you'll do all right.
Yeah, that's the thing as
Yeah,
well.
well-
People pick food instead of all.
Food's
of
better than
Premier League.
football, especially a bunch of people living in Canada talking about football. They're like, "Who are these wankers trying to tell us something about football?"
That's 'cause these
Even
Canadians don't
when we
understand
brought in English people with English accents to make us sound more like we knew what we were talking about, it didn't work. Didn't change anything.
Yeah, because they are all wanks.
And then JP, the American, gets more views than anybody, for fuck's sake.
Uh-huh.
What does that tell you?
Well, everybody
confusing,
who's
very
watching,
confusing.
please, we're trying to get JP to start an Aston Villa supporters club.
We
channel.
are.
I'm
He doesn't have
turning
time. He
that
just
to
had a baby,
Luke,
for
and I
fuck's
will
sake.
help
He's not doing
Luke.
anything.
Luke starts it. I will help him
How does that work?
because
Lord.
I have a baby.
Yeah.
Oh, stop making excuses.
Filming something.
I could make a baby. Jesus.
Something
hard work.
makes something out of nothing.
Luke's
Good Lord.
All right. Well,
Amazing.
speaking of making babies, there's no other segue to this. It's just
time to go.
For us.
It's
time to go make babies. Yeah.
It's time to go. It's time to go, guys.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you
Gents,
for watching.
Weirdly enough, we're finishing the show. We all talk to each other. We still have a WhatsApp group. We're still gonna probably hang out and drink beers and watch games together. But
We
the
should actually
audience,
do-
you are not going to see us in this situation like this again. So
Never
thank
say
you for
never.
the 15 people out there watching. Thank you to
Thank you to
my
our
mom.
500 subscribers.
I apologize for the swearing. Dave Convery, thank you for not a lot.
Luke.
Yeah, gents.
Thank you, Luke, for being out of focus and not being able
Yeah,
to.
No, I
dude,
don't.
last little bit.
out of nowhere.
It happened earlier once, but
the North End podcast, and this has been the Sunday Roast, and it has been.
Thank you for watching. We love you. Appreciate everybody. Thanks, guys. Ciao, ciao,
See you around the bend.
Bye.
Watch out for Man United 2027, 28,
Never watch
29,
out for Man
30,
United.
31.
They're gonna be shit forever.
Bye, everybody. Spurs suck.
Bye.
United are.
This is the North End. This is the North End.